Hi everyone, welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert K. Sarkos is your usual suspect. Sorry I missed you over the weekend, but it was not out of sheer willingness, but out of bad luck and circumstances. I did do an episode on the preview of match day 15 of the Premier League, but only to realize that the recording had a glitch because I'd literally lost the first 15 minutes of the show, and I figured uploading the rest of it would not make sense because it would have lacked context. But anyway, it is what it is. So it was quite a frustrating weekend for me. But we move on regardless, and one that was quite entertaining on the side of football. Of course, we did witness shocks throughout the league and more. Of course, the news, however, has been dominated by the sacking or the mutual parting ways of Dan Ashworth with Manchester United, the sporting director there, who had only been in the role for about 5 months. I mean, that means that he was on gardening leave longer than he was in the actual job that got Manchester United to pull all strings to pull him out of Newcastle United to sign him. So clearly, that's been the hot topic over the course of the weekend. Reports have suggested that he was in favor of an English manager at the time of appointing Ruben Amorim. He was in favor of Gareth Southgate. Other reports did indicate that there's been a lot of power centers within the club ever since Ineos tried to form this new structure that includes the likes of Barreda and all that kind of thing. Anyways, so but that's on the side of Manchester United. But that news did come in the wake of Manchester United losing by 3 goals to 2 at Old Trafford against Nottingham Forest in a game that I thought that Nottingham Forest were quite impressive. They did get on target quite early into the game, tried to press Manchester United. I think they hit the woodwork once or twice, one being a header there. So they had all the good efforts, but of course that lead had been cancelled before going into halftime, and it looked like Manchester United were poised to get back into the game. But the way then Nottingham Forest started the second half was quite again impressive, and quickly found themselves in a 3-1 lead. And never mind that Bruno Fernandes does score later to bring that scoreline to 3-2. Quite a frustrating evening for Ruben Amorim and his side. Now, of course, the criticism will be less on the manager and more to the players because he's a new manager. He's trying to create a system. Never mind that some fans have criticized him for his rotations and all that kind of thing. But you felt that in many moments of the game, the players weren't putting in enough shift, especially for a home game. So Man United there, it was commiserations for them on match day 15 as they lost by 3 goals to against Nottingham Forest. Morgan Gibbs-White, that goal he does score. I mean, up to now, I'm not sure that ball did take a deflection because he strikes the ball. It looks like it's going straight down to Andre Onana, and it takes a swab as it approaches him and hits the back of the net. Then Chris Wood at the end of the back post to head home again. Lisandro Martinez, I think, failing to clear the lines there. It was a bit of a squabble. He did not see that coming at the near post as they considered that third goal. So, anyways, that was one of the key results of match day 15, among others, including Aston Villa beating up against Southampton by 1-0. I think John Duran scoring in that particular game, while Brentford surprised us, stunned me personally, when they beat up against Newcastle by 4 goals to 2. Alexander Isak once again on target there. I think for the clubs that are interested in signing a striker, Arsenal being one of those, Chelsea, of course, we know they are interested in signing a striker. I'm very sure Manchester United may sound those bells very soon or later. Never mind that they do have Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee as their strikers there, but very, very impressive result for Brentford, and also sending warning bells or warning signs for Arsenal, who will be playing them not so far away from now. I think after playing Everton over the weekend, Brentford could be among the next 2 or 3 games they are in. And then the other impressive result, still surprising for me personally, because because of my earlier predictions, which of course you guys didn't get to see. I predicted that Manchester City would nick about a 2-1 win against Crystal Palace, but that game ended in a 2-all draw. It ended in a 2-all draw. Quite stunned in the way it panned out. Now, given Man City's recent form, of course, the result in itself wasn't really surprising. But having bounced back in midweek against Nottingham Forest, beating them by 3-0, I had that slim hope that they could go on and pick a second straight win after their first had come in the 8th game on the back of 7 games without a victory. But that was cancelled out by Crystal Palace in that 2-all draw. Very, very impressive. And then came Super Sunday. Super Sunday is another gift that did deliver, much so to the disappointment of Arsenal fans, then to the delight of Chelsea fans, and of course to the I don't know if it's satisfaction or contentment or what I could call it for Ruud van Nistelrooy, but Arsenal did share the spoils in a 1-all draw with Fulham there over the weekend. Now, this one, Arsenal will only have themselves to blame. Yes, it was that kind of evening, a lot of rain, cold evening there, both for the fans, for the players. It was bound to be a very tricky game. It was about managing the conditions of the game, the weather, of course, how that affects the players and all. But personally, I didn't think that either team did enough to win it. Yes, Arsenal had a goal ruled out there for offside in what they thought would have been a winner for them. That goal scored by Bukayo Saka with Gabriel Martinelli providing the assist. Gabriel Martinelli, who was ruled to be offside in that build-up. I know many Arsenal fans do disagree, but we'll have a talk about Arsenal in particular there because there's quite a number of things I didn't agree with. I thought Martin Odegaard didn't have a very impressive game. I thought Bukayo Saka didn't have a very good game. Kai Havertz was nowhere to be found. Leandro Trossard struggled in the game. Like, it was that kind of game where players didn't really, for me, live to their expectations. Of course, Raul Jimenez scored to put Fulham in the lead, while Arsenal had to come from that goal down. And they did find the back of the net through William Saliba there. Again, another goal scored through a set piece. So it's now set piece FC. So anyway, it helped them salvage a point. So, but again, that goal in itself was scrutinized because initially there was a feeling that Saliba was in an offside position, but it stood. More so surprisingly, for me, in a bit, in comparison to the second goal that was cancelled. So, but anyways, Arsenal losing the opportunity to close down the gap on Liverpool, whose game had earlier on Saturday been postponed due to strong winds in Merseyside there. So Liverpool against Everton, that game was postponed and will be rescheduled for those of you that were wondering. And then still on Super Sunday, Bournemouth beat up against Ipswich Town by 2-1, while Leicester City did share the spoils in a 2-all draw with Brighton. Ruud van Nistelrooy getting a good start. His first game was a win. That was in midweek when they were beating up against, I think, West Ham United by 3-1, and then now a draw there with a very impressive Brighton and Hove Albion side in a 2-all draw. And then came Tottenham versus Chelsea. Now, the writing was on the wall. In my predictions, again, I'd given this one. Unfortunately, you did not get the chance to watch that because my prediction again had been that Chelsea would win this game because I thought Chelsea were the stronger side. I thought Chelsea are in very decent form. They have much more to fight for than Spurs do. I thought that Spurs are, whereas they have the ability to rise to the occasion, on a good day against the big sides, they did come in this particular game on the back of a 1-0 loss to AFC Bournemouth. I thought that Spurs would lack the grit that it would take to beat Chelsea, and essentially that's what it became as Chelsea beat up against Tottenham Hotspurs by 4-3. Because here's what happened: Marco Cucurella slipped twice in the early stages of the game, and all those moments ended up with Chelsea conceding, with Tottenham scoring on the other side. Dejan Kulusevski scoring a very brilliant goal, just as much as Dominic Solanke had done. So, fast forward, by the time we were into halftime, it was 2-1 because Jordan Sancho had pulled one back. Then Chelsea win a penalty there at the time when they were really pressing for it. I thought, Yves Bissouma, what was he thinking? That hard tackle against Moises Caicedo to concede that first penalty. And then Cole Palmer, of course, stepped up, converted the penalty, and it was 2-2. Moments later, they do fumble the ball. Cole Palmer again was having an attempt on goal. That ball is deflected in the path of Enzo Fernandez, who strikes it really hard to hit the back of the net. He tried to take off his shirt in his celebration, and I remember, I think it was Moises Caicedo who grabbed the shirt so that he doesn't take it off for him to get a booking. He's in impressive form. I think he has now about 3 goals in the last 4 games. So, quite impressive for him. It did remind me of an incident in the Africa Cup of Nations, that's for the 2023 edition, that was played in January 2024, when there was an Ivory Coast player that did score, and I think it was in extra time, and going for his celebration, he was taking off his shirt. His fellow player tried to really drag that shirt back on because the goal scorer was already on a booking. But anyway, very, very impressive performance. And then, again, moments later, as Tottenham were fighting to, restore parity, Pape Matsa did commit a foul in the area that resulted into a penalty against Cole Palmer in this time round. Still, Cole Palmer stepped up and he converted from the spot to make it 4-2 at the time. Then, on the other side, Captain Son Heung-min, he had missed a sitter. He had the net to his mercy and fired that ball wide of the mark. And I think by the time he makes that attempt, he had a waiting player in the box for whom he could have played the ball to. I do not remember correctly whether it was Brennan Johnson or Dominic Solanke who was in waiting, and he didn't play that ball. He didn't play smart in that moment. In the end, he did score Tottenham's 3rd goal, but it only turned out to be a consolation on an agonizing day for another Tottenham loss. Danny Levy, we did see him in the stands watching this particular game. So much to his agony. And you get the sense that all the noise that had dominated the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the first 20 minutes of the game all fizzled out there. And then, like I said before, they are already asking for Ange Postecoglou's head on the spike. Yes, Ange Postecoglou is not perfect in terms of the way his team plays, especially when it comes to defend the way they defend the ball. Sometimes you get the feeling that they just do not do a good job on their defensive duties. But the player mentality at that club is just, I don't know, it's wrong. It's wrong. We're talking about a team who are happy to lose to Man City last season just because they did not want Arsenal to win the Premier League title at the expense of them qualifying for the UEFA Champions League. So that kind of mentality kills Ange Postecoglou, and then you could see the disappointment on his face as soon as Chelsea scored that goal, and then when the 4th goes in, really disappointed. Must have been furious at full time with his players, but that was the result. Anyway, match day 15 does continue and concludes on Monday night at 11 p.m. when West Ham United does host Wolverhampton Wanderers. Julian Lopetegui, the West Ham United manager, they are facing off his former bosses at Wolverhampton Wanderers, where Gary O'Neill, just as much as Julian Lopetegui, are both under fire. Should either of them lose this particular game, do not be surprised if they do not make it to the weekend when they have been shown the exit. So, rumors are already flying around that Tottenham are considering Ian McKenna of Ipswich Town as their potential replacement for Ange Postecoglou, but I still contend that even that particular switch would not change much at Tottenham Hotspurs. For as long as that mentality among the players is not changed, including the fan base itself, in regards to where they see themselves as a club, then it won't have much impact. But anyway, as food for thought, if you're new, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. And but my game of the weekend was on Sunday night as Atletico Madrid beat up against Sevilla by 4-3. What a game did we watch! Atletico Madrid getting into the lead, Sevilla coming from a goal down to lead that game 3-1, and then somehow Atletico Madrid salvaged it in near stoppage time. Antoine Griezmann scoring that winning goal to win it 4-3. You could see the delight of manager Diego Simeone as Atletico Madrid recorded their 9th straight victory there. So very impressive stuff there for them in La Liga. Very impressive performance against Sevilla. Again, Sevilla continue to struggle with defending of the ball, but Sevilla themselves had been quite really impressive. Once they were 3 down, Atletico Madrid just gave it their all. They just gave it their all, just as much as Chelsea had done against Tottenham Hotspurs. Very beautiful game that anyone would have watched. If you didn't manage to catch it, do catch the highlights whenever you can find them. And let's keep it there for now. And I'll see you next time. Stay blessed and have a wonderful rest of the week.